I've spent the weekend wondering, can we compare Cambridge United's season to the Cambridge Half Marathon? There's training, there's effort, there's distances, there's UTAS opinions on the results, there's even a night. But after a 1-1 draw at Accrington on Saturday, will there also be a lack of medals at the finish line? Hello, and a very warm welcome to Under the Abbey Stand. My name is Jordan Warland. Joining me today is a panel of half marathon finishers. Adam on the socials asked, how are the pod members holding up after the half marathon? Tom Walker, how do you feel?
I feel all right. I feel good. Yeah, I reckon I've got progressively worse throughout today, which is, of course, Monday, because we've given ourselves the extra day. You know, we didn't want to do it on Sunday evening because we were quite cooked between us. No, yeah, I feel all right. It was a good day. It was one of life's good days, I think.
I was keeping count of the Cambridge United shirts that I saw going round. The black Brooks shirt was the most popular one. Lots of those. Yeah. So you know, lots of Ramba and black. But only one person was doing it in the classic blue Fujitsu. So
yeah.
Tip my hat to you there, mate.
Yeah, it got a lot of love around the course. I have to say, it's quite funny, really, because on the numbers, obviously, you know, we all wear on our fronts. You've got your race number, which is the most important thing, arguably. You got the little chip in there as well. But what I forgot until about mile 6 was it's also got your name on it, on the front of it. So I'm getting a lot of shouts to my name. I was like, I don't know that person.
Yeah, brilliant.
But yeah, the blue Fujitsu got a lot of love. I would say more people recognise the shirt in Cambridge than in Naples, thankfully.
Well, what other light blue shirts have they got there? Yeah.
Yeah. They were like, probably had to like squint a little bit, but yeah, no, it was good. Perfect conditions, which helped. Perfect conditions for a couple of refreshments afterwards as well, which we partook in. And yeah, it was a good day. I think good times were had by all, really. And obviously thanks to everyone who supported it a little bit throughout, and obviously people who have chucked cash behind it as well. You know, donating to the foundation in whichever way it's been. I think they raised quite a bit of cash. We obviously helped a little bit with that as well. So yeah, it was
absolutely.
It was a good thing. I will say there was one thing that you know, aside from anything about the distance or how quiet the bit between town, Grantchester and Trumpington was, forget any of that. The thing that really there were two things that really hampered me, Jord. One of them, well, the first one is kind of ironic and a bit hypocritical, really, because obviously we spend quite a lot of time on this pod promoting our very own coconut tea, our very own premium content, for which we tend to spend quite a lot of time basically abusing people who aren't signed up to it. Round dodgers, you know, people that you can't trust, all that sort of stuff. And I on the way around, I was listening to a podcast, which I would recommend as well, the Socially Distant Sports Bar, of which I'm not actually a member of their Patreon. So I'm a freeloader in that case. I'm the one that's not getting my pint in.
You round dodger.
But the funniest thing was, I must have downloaded these episodes. Well, basically, so because I'm not on the Patreon, it means I have to listen to all the adverts. It's a pod where there tend to be quite a lot of adverts. If it's an hour and a half episode, there's about 10, 12 minutes of adverts, which is quite a lot on a half marathon. But I must have downloaded these for the plane on the way back from Naples. And I think when you download a podcast in Apple Podcasts, it does, like, all the ads are localized. So combined with like quite a tough half marathon, I had about 12 minutes of just like Italian marketing like directed straight into my ears. So that was one thing. The second one, which didn't help at all, was just as I was approaching the end of the course, about mile 11, I was just looking to my left, looking to my right, looking to my left again. Who did I spot? I spotted Jordan Warland, I spotted Julian Robertson, this parish, and I don't know what came over me, but I caught eyes with Julian, and we started just like, he was sort of running along the road like adjacent to me. I really picked up pace at that point, a real burst of energy, sprinting forward. We were just running along the road, basically next to each other, doing the Neil Harris fist pumps for a few steps, which was great at the time. And I was like, yeah, right, we're basically on the home straight here. But a half marathon is 13 miles long, not 11 miles long. And I really feel like I went a little bit too early there. because it was a bit of a slog to get around the rest of it. But no, a good day had by all, and yeah, on to the next.
They were terrific fist bumps. You know, your Don Balls, your Liam Bennett's could have learned a thing or two from you, Tom. That is for sure. Yeah, I stood and watched the majority of the half with Julian. He missed both of you on the way out, and was actually still in bed by the time that you were setting off or coming past me the first time. And when he rocked up and I explained that I'd seen both of you already, he just went, I got my timings wrong, haven't I? Speaking of timings, my next panelists did the half marathon in an incredible time of 82 minutes. But my question to you, Matt Caspel, is why were you 39 seconds slower than a runner bean? And how do you feel about that?
I mean, firstly, obviously, the Guinness Book of World Records people, I'm sure, are listening to the pod now. Give her the record. Yeah.
I've read a news article where it's being speculated if Vicky Knight is the runner in question, whether they set a record for being dressed as a runner bean. 1 hour, 21 minutes, 21 seconds.
Well, the previous record is an hour and 46 minutes. So it seems
as a runner bean. Oh.
See, not as a runner bean specifically. I think just dressed as any kind of
vegetable.
Legume. Is a runner bean a legume? I don't know. I saw her at the start and I was like, gosh, she's quick. That runner bean's fast. And then I saw her at the end. I was like, Jesus, she really is quick. She's beating me. Nothing more humbling. She also seemed quite fresh at the end. And I was literally lying on my back on the tarmac.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Fresh produce and all that.
Fresh produce. Yeah, I was in a pretty bad. I mean, as you guys will attest, from the pub afterwards. I was in. It's weird because Tom Walker just seemed quite like upbeat and quite.
I was happy.
You seemed pretty upbeat, whereas as all of my race photos also demonstrate, I was just in agony all day. Basically, I was just in a huge amount of pain.
I thought that was because there was no skepasti on the menu.
Well, that was an outrage as well because my stomach was so settled. I was so ready for a world famous skepasti. That's why, in protest, I didn't eat any food at all until about 7 p.m.
I was in great spirits. We obviously headed to Old Spring, obviously sponsors of this very podcast. Had a nice afternoon in there. Like I say, no skepasti.
We got our discounts.
We made the most of it. We got our discounts and that's obviously available.
And you can get discounts too, yeah.
Yeah. We'll come to that. But yeah, I think I was in great spirits. I got the time that I was going for. For me, a personal best, which I was very, very happy with. Casper obviously started a show with a quite ridiculous time, but I will say you did look like you were paying the price for it afterwards because you were slumped on a chair at points, looking like a sort of half-empty tube of toothpaste.
I felt awful. And I had to drive home and just to be honest, my legs not too bad. It's just all of my body.
it'd be quite dishonest of you specifically not to make the admission that there was quite a lot of thought given to putting a mattress in the back of your car and just sleeping somewhere in Cambridge.
Yeah. That was a consideration. Oh God.
We should also mention Mr. Jack Swindlehurst.
I was literally about to mention
who despite the injury still got up on Sunday, still did it. He still ran it. He finished. We're very, very proud of him, and he is over the moon because he did indeed beat the person who was dressed up in a full armor as a knight. So he was worried that he wasn't going to beat the knight, but he did. So well done, Swindle. Big well done to the foundation, all the runners, and the money that they raised. But then also just a massive well done to any of our listeners who ran. We spotted a few of you. It was great to cheer you on from the side. So well done, everybody.
Do you think the guy in the armor is a listener?
I'd hope so.
Do you reckon you can get AirPods inside a massive metal helmet?
I looked him up earlier. I think his surname is Stokes. I wonder if it's any relation
Ben
to
Stokes.
Yeah. Any relation?
That'd be good. He's running in a suit of armor for anonymity. Yeah.
Yeah, like you do gain a certain level of respect for. This is a real tangent, and we can move on swiftly after this. But you do gain like a certain level of respect for, like invading armies. Of
the Middle Ages.
Yeah. Sorry, I should especially at the moment. I really should clarify. I do.
Yeah, that's bad to say.
I do.
Alienated.
I do
alienated
mean
the entire Middle East
yeah,
fan base, mate.
I do mean sort of medieval era because you know, I found it quite tough at times running around Cambridge for a bit wearing a football shirt and a pair of trainers, but you know, to have gone to war in chainmail feels like quite an accomplishment. So yeah. Anyway, Accrington, huh?
Talking about
Yeah.
going to war.
That's great. That's seamless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thoughts
100%.
on Saturday then, gents, and whether it was a good point or not, and why. Caspel, you went a late
Yes, I
minute,
made
a
the
late
very
minute, a
last
late
minute
minute decision.
Again, just to look behind the curtain, I went to go and watch it at George's, and until about 20 to 3, I was like fully expecting to see Caspel there. I thought he was in the group chat like, oh yeah, I might make it by kickoff. I was like, oh yeah. Anyway, see you there. And no, it turned out you made the trip up. Fair play.
The lengths
yeah.
that Matt Caspel goes to not spend the afternoon with you and I, Tom, was evident on Saturday.
Or you know, my family. Just
Both justified.
yeah. No, I just decided to go late. I just jumped in the car, and it was a pretty frantic journey up, I would say. Terrible idea, really. You know, rest before the half marathon. Just rest your legs, eat your carbs. Don't
You
worry
didn't
about
run
that.
there.
I didn't run there. No, I did drive there, but I did eat a meat and pie potato and thought this could do nothing for me tomorrow.
Tom was speculating with a smile on his face, which I think means he was hoping that you might have done an injury in like the goal celebration.
Oh, great! That's good. Thanks, mate.
Like late enough as it was that maybe there was enough of a bundle to.
You made
to
that
injure
sound
you.
a lot meaner than it actually was.
Maybe at Barnet you can push me down the stairs or something, mate. Yeah,
It's done now. It's too late now.
No, Jordan. I mean, was it a point game or two drops? That's
well,
classic.
that wasn't my question. But you can answer that. You can answer that cliche if you
Was
like.
it a good point or
was
not?
it a
Sorry.
good point? And if so, why?
I thought it was a good point. I thought it was a good point because if you'd offered it to me at 4:30 or whenever we were still 1-0 down, and we'd hit that sort of frustrating phase of the game where it felt like, even though I'm not sure what we created was actually a lot of pressure, really, but we'll get onto that. I think we controlled 2/3 of the football pitch, and then we didn't really have much control in the final third. But I just think it was turning into one of those afternoons, one of those days where you're just thinking, oh shit, you know, I've gone from on the hour mark thinking surely we'll break through, and then you get up close to the 70 minutes, you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe it is going to be one of those days. Maybe particularly when Kai hits the inside of the post off the cross that went all the way through the box, you're just starting to think, oh no. And also just looking at the other results around us, as is the run-in now, and just having that sense of foreboding. I called it on about the hour mark. I was with the guys I was stood with. I was like, one of them is going to score at least here and like make the situation a lot worse for us. So I think when you consider the sort of the sense of doom that was starting to come over everything, I think it's a good point because you draw your ways, you win your homers from here. It's true all season, really. But if we do it from here, we're going to get promoted. So it doesn't really matter that we're playing some of the better teams at home. Arguably, that's in our favour. So we just got to get back to it at home, and that game on Saturday is obviously a really important one.
Yeah, one of those days is a great term. I think that's one that's been bandied about a lot, sort of post game, and it's definitely a feeling I had. And I guess one of the things that makes me feel a bit better about Saturday's result is if you compare it to Harrogate away and just how we couldn't find that second goal. At least on Saturday we did find the equaliser. Makes it a little bit more positive for me. What about you, Tom? Good point, or do you feel like that's a game that we should be winning if we want to go up automatically and in that top three?
I think I come at it from a bit of a different angle than Caspel, to be honest, which is interesting because normally the way these things tend to go is the people who have been at games and made the effort and done the journeys and stuff tend to be a little bit more critical, and the people who have sat on the sofa in their trackies having just had a massive mid-carb load.
I mean, you travelled to an extent, you know.
Yeah, Ely to Cambridge, not quite as far as Surrey to Accrington, admittedly. But the way it tends to go is that if you've been, you're a bit more critical, and if you haven't been, then sometimes you ease off a little bit. I think it's generally the way it goes. People might dispute that a bit, but anecdotally, that's basically what I see. So Caspel seems quite, I would say, content Is that fair?
It's trying to manifest positivity.
There he is.
In the spirit of our good friend Jack Swindlehurst.
Yeah. Which I get, and I think there's parts of it that I agree with, and the obvious one really, the sort of two ways of spinning it are, if you can't win it, don't lose it, and I think that's always true. Like regardless of the level that you play at, take something from the game. The other thing is, we've all been going long enough, particularly throughout the conference years. We've seen that game before, like hundreds of times, where you go into a game like that, with the greatest respect, you go into a club like Accrington where you would have realistic expectations of winning the game because the size of club, size of budget, that sort of thing, and it just becomes a bit of a grind. And on so many occasions over the years, we haven't got anything from that game, and it's just played out, and you've come away like banging your head against a brick wall, like. We've contrived to lose a game of football that we just shouldn't have done, on the balance of play, on the balance of budgets, on the balance of everything else, and we didn't lose it, and that's a positive in itself. But I think my sort of angle on it is it's a real missed opportunity for a couple of reasons. One is that I get the idea of if you win your home games, draw your aways, then you get promoted, and that will stand true if that's what happens. But our away games are the more presentable fixtures. We're playing really, really tough teams at home, so I feel like Accrington particularly is a game to really take advantage of. So that's it at the top level, just in terms of like the fixture, I suppose, and it's a game that I would like to see us go and win. And I think that we should have gone and won it. The other thing is just like the way the game played out. We'll come on to Harris's comments a little bit. I echo the sentiment of it a little bit, maybe not quite as strongly, but the game was in front of us. Like the game was in front of us for whatever it was in the end, because there was that mental stoppage in the first half. So it probably ended up being about 110 minutes or something of football, or 110 minutes that the game went on. I didn't feel there was ever a moment where Accrington stepped up and put it on us. Maybe like 2 minutes after we equalised, they got a free kick by the point in the box. But that's it. Like they had a couple of long throws and stuff like that. But there was never anything, never any moment in that game where I thought it was out of our sort of control. But we just didn't show enough in the final third, particularly to win the game. And that's despite getting into a few good opportunities. Like in the first half, sort of first 20, 25 minutes, we have probably 3 or 4 really presentable opportunities. Ben Knight misses a couple. We managed to cut in behind a few times. And basically what I'm saying is that the game was there to be won and we couldn't find a way to do it. And on a day where, look at Notts County, they're, obviously the ones that are currently breathing down our necks, they're a goal down away from home at Walsall. Arguably a tougher game, despite Walsall's troubles. I think they're a goal down in like the 75th minute or something, and they just find a way. They find a way to win the game. Deserved or undeserved, like it doesn't really matter. The end result is the end result. And that's where my disappointment comes from, is that we just couldn't quite do that. And you can argue it, and you can say that there's times maybe this season where we have done that, and maybe we've done it less deservedly than would have been Accrington, and these things balance themselves out. But the fact of the matter remains is that gap's closed. It's become a little bit more bunched in there, and realistically, we could be sat here saying, well, look, it's another game down. The gap remains the same, and we're looking in a better position because of it, but we're not. So that's the frustration for me. The game was there to be won. We couldn't win it, but if you want to look at it positively and you want to manifest all that sort of stuff, at least we didn't lose it. So there's probably a happy middle ground in there somewhere. But for me, I'm a little bit frustrated.
Yeah, that point you made about the fixture itself really sort of stands in my mind. We go into Saturday's game, 12 games left. And I know it's not as simple as this, but there is a big part of me, and I know a lot of other fans feel the same way, which look at it and go, okay, 12 left, win 6, and you're basically at that automatic that points. And yeah, of the 12, if you list them out in terms of winnability of them, Accrington
is that and Gillingham and Walsall. It's these three are like, you really
Barrow.
look at them and you think they really stick out, and then also like Barrow, Cheltenham, and then probably Salford at home. They're the 6. So I see where Tom's coming from. I do get it.
Tom didn't think we were going to win 8-0 though. He was contradicting Neil Harris. What about you? Matt? Did you think we were going to win 8-0? Or?
Well, I touched on it in my first answer. Like, I think we were like really good in our own half. I think we were okay in the start of their half. I just don't think we were very good at all in the final third, really. Like, we haven't actually created many chances. 82% possession in the second half. is fine. I think Tom touched on it there, to be fair, as well. I think if any of those other teams around us, except maybe Bromley, who are maybe like stylistically probably quite similar to us by all accounts, but you feel like Notts County or MK, for example, are going somewhere and having 82% possession, they're probably going to win that game like 3 or 4-0. If you know what I mean? They've got the strike force, the personnel that they're going to make stuff happen. I do think we were moving the ball around well, like the side to sides were good. Obviously, you're in that away end, you're surrounded by people who are screaming, like, get it forward. And like, these people just never watched football before. They just don't really understand how a football match works. Like, you can't just launch this ball forward and expect anything to happen. So we did move the ball well. I just think it's maybe in that, like, attacking midfielder, I mean, strikers, same thing. It just didn't feel like we had anyone who was going to really, like, grab the ball and make something happen consistently enough, considering how much of the ball we actually had. Like, we must have crossed their halfway line with the ball, 50 times in the half. We're doing like once a minute. We were building a fresh attack, and we've really only, I mean, how many actual chances we created in that second half? Like, the goal is the chance that Kaiko's obviously hit the post, but that wasn't even really shooting. Like, it was crossing.
A relatively comfortable looking save from a Kaikai shot, if you remember that. That was a good little
when he
move,
just come on. Yeah. That was it. I mean, there were decent moves all around, but nothing like, I just think if you're having that much possession and you're spending that much time in the opposition half, I mean, Tom's point again is right. Like, Accrington not doing anything going forward at all. And every time Watts and Job were picking the ball up, I was like, just go, like, just travel with the ball. Like, just leave one. You don't need to have big personnel like covering, because they are doing nothing. Like, they're not going to hit us on the counter attack. There's no one to do it. So it was frustrating in the sense of, I just felt like we could have released the shackles even more. And then you just want to see your sort of individual star players like standing up to in those moments. So whether it's Brophy or Knight or Corey Smith, who did well when he came on, like someone just, or Kaikai just, you know, cut inside, shoot, you know, or just keep running at them, win more stuff basically. So
I got really frustrated.
Basically.
Yeah. I got really frustrated in the second half with the approach with Kaikai, because it felt like he had his man on toast. And
that's exactly what I said in the away end.
Yeah, and then it seemed like we changed the tactic. I know we changed sort of the personnel and the shape, but it seemed like we sort of gave up on sort of giving him those like one-on-one battles with that fullback.
Yeah, it felt like he was really going to be the guy. Feels like he's going to be the guy every single time he had the ball. So I would have just don't overcomplicate it, just keep ferrying it out to him and just see what he can do, because Brophy looked a little bit tired over on the other side is all I'll say towards the end of the game, which is fair enough.
So yeah, obviously Neil Harris post-game talked about, you know, the lack of being clinical, and I think that's fair, isn't it? A lot of, almost like in the first half, a lot of better chances and sort of reliable names, for whatever reason, just weren't connecting or getting shots off as you would hope or expect. Before we touch on the match action itself, though, I just want to get your thoughts, Caspel, on the promotion landscape. I mean, Tom's already said, you know, it's now bunched up a little bit more based on the result, but where's your head on the promotion picture after Saturday? So obviously MK and Notts win, Bromley and Swindon drew. I guess you could say some good results, some bad results.
I think it's all right. I just think we're in that phase of the season now. Every game week or weekend, it's unlikely that everyone in that top 5 is going to win their games. It felt like in January, everyone was just winning all their games and no one seemed to be playing each other. That's just like, God, it's relentless up there. But we kept obviously winning all our games as well. I think the last couple of weeks, obviously logically, you know, drawn a few games now will have just given us a bit of a reality check, I guess is how you might describe it, in terms of fan base, and just keep us all grounded, I suppose. But yeah, it's going to be relentless up there. You're looking at it, you're thinking, God, we probably, I don't know, increasingly it's feeling like we need Bromley probably to slide out of this equation to make life a hell of a lot easier, because you're looking at MK in particular and thinking, God, they're probably going to, you know, even with a load of injuries, MK now, I don't think they've lost all calendar year, or they lose on the 1st of January or something. I think since then they've basically been winning and drawing all their games 2 points a game, sort of PPG. The thing I'm worried about, I guess, after a game like Accrington and ahead of Saturday, which is Gillingham, which is winnable, and then Tuesday at Walsall, which also still feels quite winnable, is if we don't net at least 4 points, I'll say, out of those 2 games, we are starting then to put a huge amount of pressure on the home games that are coming up against some of our rivals around us.
Yeah, definitely.
And that's my worry. It's almost like ask me in a week's time, ask me after Walsall. And if we've taken 4 or, I mean, you've got to be, if you want autos, then you've got to look at those 2 games and think you'll be planning for 6 points, I think.
Well, you're doing the preview pod, so you'll be able to I can map it out in your mind many times before that recording.
I can do it all over again
on Friday morning,
and then I'm doing the review as well, so I can just keep them, just keep talking about it nonstop. I think, look, we're still fine. We're still in the top 3. I think everyone. I mean, we must have known during that winning run, you sort of win, 7, 8 games or whatever in a row. At some point that's going to come to an end. And it's going to be a little bit sobering, I guess, when it does. We've just got to get back in up. It could look so different on Saturday if we beat Gillingham and a couple of other results go our way, and suddenly you look at the league table and you think, God, things are looking pretty good, and we're going to a winnable game on Tuesday at Walsall. So I think that Saturday game is going to be very big for us for context setting.
Yeah. Tom, I'm feeling less bullish because we've got 2 points on the board from the last 2 games, and what feels like it should have been 6 points for various reasons. It's not. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me, not to worry about the last 2 games, and it's all in my head.
I'm going to struggle to convince you because I'm kind of along. Well, I would say I'm along similar lines. I think for me, it's more slight frustrations and missed opportunity rather than anything that's really kind of dampened my positivity or sort of my confidence. Really, bullishness that we'll be in that top 3 come Crewe away, basically, or come the end of Crewe away. More importantly, I think. Look, it's a difficult one, right? Because we're going to sit here and have the same conversation that MK fans of people from Milton Keynes will be having, Notts County and Swindon fans will be having exactly the same conversation. I'm probably you can chuck Bromley in there as well, even though they're a little bit clear of it all. I just feel like we're a better side than those around us. I really do. Like, I just feel like in terms of the manager we've got, in terms of the players we've got, I just feel like we should be able to find another gear. And I guess the thing, I think dropping a couple of points in disappointing fashion in different ways in the last couple of games could do that. But I think it balances out with the fact that we've got some players to come back in the next couple of weeks who are serious additions, basically, at this level, at this stage of the season. Adam Mayer, Killian Kwasi, huge to have back in that picture. And that's something that maybe other teams don't have. I suppose we've talked about MK's injuries a little bit. Maybe they've got 1 or 2 players who might sort of trickle back in throughout the rest of the season. But if you feel like maybe running out of steam is maybe a bit too far to go with it, but if you're feeling that way, that's a nice little kick of energy. That's a nice little booster to have at this point of the season. I do agree with what Caspel says about the next couple of games being important. Probably more so because you don't want to put too much pressure on those games against Notts, against Salford, against Swindon, against Bromley. I agree with that. I'd maybe look at it again in maybe a slightly different way, in that you've got to perform in those games regardless, right? I was
going to say the pressure could be on in those games. Anyway,
I think realistically, because we're all long enough in the tooth, and we've all seen enough football and seen enough football results over the years, and seen what happens, particularly later on in the season, where pressure does strange things to teams at strange times of the season. To know that, look, we've got 11 games left. We're not going to win the 6 that we think we're going to win, and draw or lose the 5 that we don't think we will. What I would say is that I think we have to pull a win out against one of those, either Notts or Swindon. Both at home, which helps, and I think we need to go to Bromley and get a result, which I think we're capable of doing, particularly on their recent form, which has been quite drawy. But yeah, look, we're right in amongst it, aren't we? And you'd have to make a damn good argument to tell me that we're not going to be in that top 3 come the end of the season. I think we're good enough. I think we've got enough about us, and crucially, it's all in our own hands. And I just have just have confidence based on what I've seen over the last few months, really. So yeah, I'm frustrated, but you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. These things, right? Just because there's been a couple of dodgy results, it doesn't sort of rip up everything that's come before it. I think we've been too good for too long for that to just suddenly vanish, basically. But let's see. Who knows? There might be a bit of carnage to come yet. Who knows?
We should probably touch on some of the details of the game itself. We spent too much time talking about lack of skepastis and whatnot. Tom, a second ago, you said about the people coming back to the squad. You're absolutely right. But obviously Saturday, bit of mind games from Harris. We had a returner to the starting lineup that we weren't expecting in McLaughlin, who I thought had a good performance, was unlucky to be subbed. Harris said after the game it was about managing the minutes, and was always going to play sort of 45 to 60 minutes. I want to get your thoughts on McLaughlin and the fact that it allowed Pelly to play a little bit further forward, which on past away games has worked pretty well, but not so on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that that not working out so well, I think, is more an execution thing rather than a tactical thing.
Yeah.
And let's not blame Shane McLaughlin for that at all, because let's make no mistake about it. That first half is probably Pelly Roddick's worst 45 minutes in a Cambridge United shirt. He was pretty bad. Any shirt. Yeah. Well, Rotherham fans might have something to say about that if you look at their comments from last season.
It's not possible, mate.
But he was bad. Like Pelly, that is. We'll come on to McLaughlin in a minute. Pelly's touch was off all afternoon. Just contributed quite negatively. There was
bouncing off him, wasn't it?
There was a couple of times I can kind of accept like a poor touch, like it's League Two football. Like players, regardless of what I think of them or what other people might think, they're in League Two for a reason at the end of the day. So a poor touch here and there I can kind of forgive, but it was the ones where like, I don't know, like Brophy might make like a run in behind or something, and Pelly Roddick's pass would just go totally the other direction, just off the pitch. They're the ones that like you just sat there and you go, oh, for God's sake. Sort of chuck your hands up in the air sort of thing. But yeah, good to see McLaughlin back. I think quietly, since Hoddle got injured, he's become quite an important player. I think he got player of the month, didn't he, for February as well?
He did indeed, yeah.
So, it's good to have him back in. Particularly good when it's a bit of a surprise. And I suppose it's a good moment to talk about him more generally, just because when you look at like the additions that we made, particularly in that part of the pitch over the summer, and if you think about who was already at the club and someone like Corey Smith, obviously hugely experienced at higher levels, it would have been so easy to just forget about McLaughlin a little bit, for him just to become like a little bit part and a little bit of the kind of forgotten man. But he's kind of forced his way in there, which is credit to him, and he's done it, on merit. I know there's been one or two that have fallen around him in recent times, so he's had to come in, but he's kept his place when some of those have come back, and that's great. So yeah, it was good to see him back. I don't think him coming back and Pelly being pushed up is the reason that Pelly Roddick had such a poor afternoon, but yeah, good for Shane, poor for Pelly.
Casper, another surprise to some people, not all people, was Nevitt starting. I want to get your thoughts on his afternoon. We'll talk about his disallowed goal in a second and whether we think it was the correct decision or not. But I want your thoughts on his performance, because I thought he had quite a good performance. We had a question come in from Richard. I get the impression that Richard thought he struggled, had a difficult afternoon. And Richard's asking if the problem is less the personnel and more the fact that we are going one striker against three centre-backs quite often this season.
Yeah, I thought Nevitt did all right. Obviously, we speculated about on the preview pod that it might now be the time to do it. Also said that Apre might look quite good coming off the bench, which has paid dividends. He's benefited from that. It's a tough job anyway. I just think being a solo striker just is a hard job. So I think we have no one in our squad really who's capable of doing it really well, is what I would say. What I found interesting with Nevitt is that, we kind of look at him as a proper target man. So, he wins a lot of headers, but we weren't really using it very much. We didn't seem to use that asset too highly. We seem to be very determined, actually, to keep it on the floor, and sort of the way I described it out of the game was like we're sort of playing like we should when we've got Apare, but we actually have never, like, why aren't we just, not every time, but why aren't we just occasionally mixing it up and just hitting this guy with a big diagonal, if you know what I mean. Like we were spraying diagonals around that first half, but it's mostly Liam Bennett who was on the end of them. Obviously, that was working pretty well for us. It just felt like, and I always feel like this about, it's not even a Harris Cambridge team, it's just all the Cambridge teams, just like try and be more dynamic in the thinking, like hit a few long balls at Nevitt every now and then and just see what can happen. Like Eastwood was obviously always short distribution, but like every now and then, why not just mix it up and just like pin one on Nevitt? So I think Nevitt did all right. I don't know that we played particularly to his strengths. I think he probably puts a bit more pressure on defenders like centre backs, so they know they've been in more of a game maybe than when they play against Apare, in the sense that he's sort of knocking people about. And obviously, I mean, we'll talk about the goal, disallowed goal.
Well, yeah, I want both your thoughts on that. Do you think it was the right call, or do you think it was harsh?
Well, I mean, I was in the away end, right? So it's quite hard because you just get the one take on it. It didn't look like much. It looked pretty soft, whatever it was. It didn't make the 10-minute highlights. So whoever cut the highlights obviously didn't.
It is in the amber angle that the club film and put out.
Is that right?
There's actually a really good view of it because obviously they're sat alongside that goal, hoping to see the goals go in. And yeah, I mean, I had to watch it back several times to sort of see the Watts foul, and yeah, I'm still not convinced.
It just didn't look like a lot from where we were,
especially if we consider the Accrington goal, which we will come on to in a second.
Precisely, yeah. So there is a bit of a narrative building up where you think we're sort of, the MK game, softest of soft penalties right at the end of the game. Nevitt goal chalked off pretty unfairly. Then Accrington's goal also had. Well, let's group them all together. If you're disallowing our goal, the Nevitt goal, then you have to disallow the Accrington goal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure either of them should be disallowed, basically. So it's just a lack of consistency that's kind of done us. So yeah, it's like weird alternate universe where would we be top with the points?
Well, yeah, it comes
near enough, right?
Yeah, it comes back to that question I asked Tom a little bit earlier, about the 2 points from the 6. There's a world where you say different referees, different standards. We have got the 6 points rather than the 2, which I'm not going to dwell on too much, hopefully, come the end of the season. Tom, at the time you thought it was a harsh decision. You watched it back a couple of times, you changed your mind, or are you sticking with that?
No, I think I'll stick with it. I don't know. I think like you guys, like maybe there's amber tinted spectacles going on, but I don't think so. I think I just don't think that there's enough in it. It's just really soft. Shame as well because it was Nevitt on the end of it, wasn't it? And that'd have been really good for him. Particularly obviously just coming in for his first start. I think would it have been. Yeah. So yeah, like a real soft one, and I guess that adds to an element of frustration as well because it does feel like we were maybe a little bit unfortunate at times, but. Yeah, for me, goal should stand.
What about the Accrington goal, Tom? We weren't calling it at the time, the fouls on the offsides, but on watching it back, do you think it should have stood?
I'll tell you what. I'll let you guys do the fouls because I want to focus on our defending for it. To be honest, I know
defending was shite. Yeah,
yeah. I know.
Should we talk about how that?
Yeah, like I get there's a couple of fouls sort of in the build up to it, but we can talk about the fouls and maybe the fact that maybe the goal could have been disallowed just like ours was not that long earlier. We can also talk about the fact that it's way too easy for the guy to get his cross in. Mm-hmm. It's far too easy for the flick on to be won, and then there's a centre half unmarked in the box. And I know Jordan at the time you were sort of talking about Eastwood's role in it. I'm not sure Eastwood would get too much of my ire for this one, just because it's a shot
so close to him,
point blank range right down his throat. Like it probably has to bounce off his face really if it's going to stay out. Or something like that.
I was just confused by the angle that the ball goes into the net.
Yeah,
he gets a fist to it and then it goes in the other way.
It's point blank. It's like 6 yards out, and he touches it, so it looks a bit weird. Walker, I think the bad defending starts earlier than you. I think it's
before the cross. It's
phase of play before the cross is pretty bad. They're sort of looping ball into the box that they don't really win the header. Brophy sort of inexplicably just hits the floor. I think he's trying to block a shot that doesn't happen. I think it's Brophy. McLaughlin skews this clearance, does like a weird overhead kick clearance that sort of just about makes it out of the 18-yard box, but he's come totally off the top of his foot. So it's a litany of errors that's led up even to the chance. And then maybe the cross. I think the worst mistakes happen earlier, and then maybe the cross could be prevented. The guy's not offside, by the way. I was like not quite in line with it, but it's one of those because the flick is so early in the move. The centre back who knocks it in ends up looking miles offside, but he's broken through, if you know what I mean. It's just really badly defended, to be honest.
Disappointing all round. Couldn't get back into the game for the remainder of the first half. Like Tom mentioned, there was a long first half with that extra injury time. Half time then, a couple of substitutions are made. Caspel, do you think they were were you surprised to see a double sub at half time? And how did you rate the impact of Kai and Smith?
It's quite funny because we were walking back into that. We also went under the stand. I did not have a beer in honour of the half marathon. But we were walking back and we could see it already stripped off Smith and Kai. They were like already kitted up, knocking the ball around. I just turned to my good mate Thomas Hill and said, could you imagine if Pelly isn't subbed off here if he survives this double sub? But no, he didn't. I mean, I think they were the right sort of changes to make. I'm not sure McLaughlin. I guess they were sort of was it McLaughlin did go, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
I guess they were probably just like managing his minutes or whatever, because I thought he'd done fine in the first half. The changes were both really positive. I mean, we spoke about it a bit earlier. Obviously, Kai seemed to have every single time he picked up the ball, he was a threat. I wanted to see a bit more of that. I thought Corey Smith did really well. I thought he was moving the ball around really well. Obviously, occupying quite a high place up the pitch.
Terrific assist as well.
Yeah, I just think he just generally just had a really good performance. Like he looked really on it. He looked like we sort of mentioned earlier, he wanted someone to grab the game by the scruff of the neck and make something happen. It felt like if anyone was going to do it, it was him. He just kept picking the ball up in centre mid. Obviously,
it was a bit like having just like a grown up in the room, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be honest, one of us could have looked decent on that pitch, I think, if he'd started from quite deep, given where the Accrington players were set up. I think if one of us could have played as centre back, I reckon that second half and looked half decent.
I hear you were a half decent centre back, Caspel.
I was a half decent centre back at the end, mate. It's that engine, that 82-minute half marathon engine inside me, just cover the ground. Look, Smith did well, Kai did well, but it was quite Kai performance again, where he just it just feels like something missing. Like, why? I don't know. I'm just desperate for it to work for him and for us, obviously. But it just felt like when he's getting the ball out on the byline, and I make it sound so simple. And football's obviously harder, but just cut inside and shoot. Just score, mate. You know what I mean? I know you can. I've seen you do it before. So it's just show this guy the outside, then come back inside, clear a bit of space, and just bang it at the top corner, please, and get us sorted and get us 3 points. So
yeah, if it's not too much trouble, Sully.
Yeah, yeah, just desperation at this point. So I've driven all this way. Look, the changes were good. Obviously, the second half it was like one-way traffic. Got to give credit to their number 5, their centre back, who scored their goal, but also got man of the match for them.
Right, I was going to ask this question. Yeah. You finish. He
was winning every ball. He was just a magnet. I've got a ton of respect. He was just putting his body on the line, putting in blocks, winning headers. Obviously, got himself a goal, got man of the match. He deserved it. The only frustration again is that we kept playing into. We were just doing the same thing. I mean, how many crosses did we have? Someone said it was 47 or something.
I think I read
insane.
that, yeah.
Yeah, so some mad number of crosses. And to be fair, also the crosses led to a goal. So I guess our percentage completion rate on the crosses was pretty low. I think my other gripe for that second half, I think we had 8 corners in that half. And I just don't remember any of them amounting to anything.
And it felt like they were all trying to do the same thing.
So yeah, there was no
mixing it up.
All players in the 6-yard box for every set piece. Literally all of our attacking players basically in the 6-yard box. They'd obviously decided that they were just going to try and land it on the keeper. They'd obviously seen something with this keeper. But their number 5, the centre-back Rawson, was just screening everything and dealing with everything. So it just was just not effective, basically. I think that's my one frustration from that game is that I'm not buying the 8-0 chat, because for all the possession we had, the
8-0.
well, just how the game, it would not be 8-0 now if we were still going. Like that, for all the possession we had and for all the sort of half chances or half openings we created, we didn't really create much of anything. Like the goal was good. Kai, I know, has hit the post. That's a bit of a cross. And obviously the keeper's made a save. But I think that's it. And we had so much possession.
I think that Ben Knight one in the first half.
The first half, yeah. Second half, to be fair. Like, yeah, first half, Knight obviously pulls that one wide. And that's a bit of a shame.
The problem is, like, when you go in a goal down, so when you go in at half time a goal down in a place like Accrington, it's such a cliche, but I think it stands true as well. It's like you just give them something to cling on to. You just give yourself too much to do in that second half, I think, and that's a frustration.
Well, I want your opinion not only on that, Tom, but also on what Casper was saying about their centre back, but them in general, how they performed and how they defended. Because I wonder if this is like an underrated sort of aspect from Saturday. They were clearly very, very organised. Like you say, they had something to hold on to. They restricted all these avenues for passes and opportunities. They sat deep. I think they're like the 5th best home record in the division. I mean, is there something in there that we've not commented on yet, which is that actually, Accrington deserves some credit for keeping it at 1-1?
Yeah, I think there's always two sides to every story, isn't there? And like naturally, we're going to focus more on where we could have done better, where maybe at times we did do things well, and obviously where we've maybe fallen a bit short. You obviously have to give a bit of credit to Accrington. I think for the second half more than anything, because I think for the first 20 minutes of that second half, I think they made life really difficult for us. The balance of play started to shift after that, and after we made a couple more subs, which I guess we'll talk about as well. First half, I thought they were poor. Didn't think they offered anything at all. I know, ironically, it's the first half in which to actually get their goal, but yeah, I thought they looked there to be got at, really. So I'm not really sure they were too much of a challenge then, but yeah, for sure. If you come to the pitch, you've drawn a game that you think you should have won. It means that probably the other team have done something quite good to take something from it, I guess. So fair play to them for that. But they were pretty comfortably second best all afternoon, I think is what I'd say.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the equaliser, Tom, because I thought it was pretty terrific by the time it came. I thought Watt's involvement was brilliant. Smith's cross was terrific, and then a good header as well. So yeah, give me your thoughts on the goal when it finally came, and was there a part of you that was thinking it's never going to come?
Yeah, increasingly it was. I sent a really good insightful message to you guys about 75 minutes in, and on the lines of, we're either going to win or lose this. There's no way we're going to draw it.
That's what you said. I forgot about that, actually. That's great stuff.
Cue the equaliser literally minutes later, and then, like, going on to not do much of the rest of it. First thing, probably biggest thing, is it's really good for Apparay. Because there were moments in games gone by where I think Patience is wearing a little bit thin with his just lack of potency, not even just in front of goal, just generally, because I think there's been a lot to be desired, and arguably, like we've said earlier on, being a lone striker in a team that's often playing against 3 at the back is not an easy task, and he's battled willfully, but maybe not quite got his reward for it. So good for him. I think Smith's role in it is really good as well. The bit I want to point out more than the assist, more than the header, is Kel Watt's pass in the build up to it. It's absolutely brilliant. It's so good. And I don't know what the view was like from the away in Castle, but from where we're obviously watching it on the broadcast, you didn't see anyone there. So I was like, what's he seeing? Oh, he picks out Smith brilliantly, sort of like reverse diagonal pass, takes out about 3 defenders, and obviously the cross from Smith is brilliant. And there's still quite a bit for Apparay to do, I think. Like it's not the easiest one, but he manages to head it down, which is good. And it's just out of reach to the keeper, so it's a really good thing. And at that point, you are thinking, like, come on, go on and win it now, because you knew there was going to be north of 4 or 5 minutes added on, and that gave us 15 minutes or so to go on and try and get a winner. We obviously couldn't quite do it, but did you feel like we eased off? Because I feel like it wasn't
one-way traffic isn't the correct terminology because we had so much possession, but it didn't feel like the intensity upped after we got the goal.
Like maybe a bit. I want to steer away from that. And I want to steer away from that partly because I'm not sure it's quite as simple as that. But partly because I think it's just game state. Like if you're going all out to get an equaliser, like you've basically got nothing to lose at that point. So like it would make no sense for you not to just pour everything forward. Like I suppose you can make the argument, look, Corey Smith didn't find himself out putting crosses in by the byline after we equalised, so maybe there's an argument that we sat off a little bit, but I don't think that'd be fair. I really don't. We probably didn't create as much and we didn't have quite as much total pressure as we did before, but I think that's just what happens, isn't it?
Well, I'm just saying, why didn't Eastwood go up for those last-minute corners, mate? That's what I want to see.
It would have been. Do you know
That's what I want to see.
It would have been great to see. It would have been such a signal of intent from Neil Harris if he's chucking the goalkeeper up at 1-0. I would have loved and hated to see it. To be fair,
that, you know, if Eastwood had got a goal in injury time, Caspel, that surely would have brought on the injury. That would have brought on the injury. That would have put you out on Sunday. I think.
That would have put me out. Yeah, maybe a relief we didn't get a goal. If Eastwood had gone up, I'd have been losing my shit at 1-1. I'd be like, absolutely no.
Do you think we eased off though?
I don't think we intentionally eased it. I think Tom Walker's got it spot on, which is
mate, clip that up, get on a t-shirt. Tom Walker's got it spot on again.
He's PB'd again, 2 days in a row. No, Walker's got it right. Like I mean, Corey Smith is actually.
Honestly, I can't get enough of you saying that.
Should we do it again? I think Corey Smith's a good example, to be fair, of like someone who, he'll sit back into a centre mid. You know what I mean? You're sort of more buccaneering centre midfielder suddenly becomes more like a anchoring holding midfielder. You know, players just occupy deeper parts of the pitch, and I just don't think we had. I mean, to be honest, they're a bit gassed out as well. A few lads looked a bit like done on their feet. Brophy night, you know, just people kind of have put a shift in, and we just didn't quite have the creativity, I really think, to keep going. But I sort of agree with you. Like after the goal, we have created 0.08 XG rest of the game, one chance basically, and you would like to have just seen us kept going, mostly because, again, if you go in there and get your winning goal, just think it's just a statement, isn't it? I mean, firstly, a massive 3 points it would have been, and also just sort of, whilst all the other teams around us seem to manage to find late goals, obviously apart from down at Crawley, you'd just be making a really big statement when you by getting a sort of clutch last minute win. So hopefully there's a bit of excitement to come for us at some point in the coming game weeks. Don't want to leave it too late, but if we want to grab like a late winner against Salford or Swindon or Notts or any of those, to be honest, then or even Walsall on that Tuesday night, that's all good, isn't it?
All of them. Why not?
All of them should get late winners in all the games, just like we did during the last promotion campaign out of this division.
Right, that's it. That is Accrington covered. That is the half marathon covered. The links are still open if you would like to donate to the foundation, which we recommend you do. Caspel, you will be back on Friday with the preview pod.
Early start,
talking about a big game, home to Gillingham. Swindle and I will be back with the review show on Monday, after Mother's Day, of course. A quick reminder to have a look at undertheaberstand.com and see all the great stuff that we do on the Coconut tier. There's a Ben Knight interview that's dropped recently, which is very good. Would recommend. The Skepasti has had a couple of mentions in this pod, as it should, but a reminder that our sponsors and drinking partners this season are the Old Spring at One Ferry Path, and I had a great time in there on Sunday. Tomo, well done for the half marathon, mate, but well done for the pod. You were right, as Caspel pointed out a couple of times. So, but, you know, a Tipex that onto the medal or something, maybe.
Yeah, I will never get tired of doing that. Tired of hearing that. I haven't been like scrawling it ever since finishing. Yeah, good stuff. We powered through, then we did a pod. So
good stuff. Caspel, everyone will hear you on Friday. Thanks for tonight.
Oh, you're welcome, mate.